Okay, and as I'm assuming we're still on the air, I hope.
Yeah,
But
we're
as you
just
can,
we're just shuffling team members in and out.
yeah, and so I'm joined by the Schwans as my co-commentator for this next round.
What up, Joker Mage? What's going on? Poltergeist Fury flag set this time. So we need to get to 7 characters and 9 espers in order to unlock Final Kefka. And as you see on Chadius' screen right here, representing Team Raiden, we have a skip at 8 characters or 11 espers or 21 checks.
Yeah,
With Outlaw.Star there on the right-hand side with the purple and the light blue trim versus the electrified Chadius. So this should be an electric match as Outlaw.Star representing Team Crusader. None of the participants in these two teams have had a match yet, so this will be the chance to strike first blood here, Joker.
yeah, and the previous race was also a Poltergeist Fury one. It had a much higher skip on all accounts, so I think and even then they both of the runners ended up doing check skips because they had enough dead checks and had enough dragons to go through. But this is a much lower count because both of them got to 8 characters, but the skip was at 9 characters. I think the Esper check was 13, and the check, the check skip was 23 for that previous round, and they both managed to pull it off, but much lower numbers for skip. So it's almost certain we're going to see some kind of skip on one or both of these.
Yeah, considering that the skip is basically free, I wonder if we're going to see some Kefka Tower shenanigans where you overload one of the parties to take out a statue boss with the full team, and then once you're at the top of the tower, you warp back out to the statues to go a 2v2 instead of, the 2-2-1 that we're sort of used to here.
Yeah, that's exactly what Jesus the Frog did in the last round, is just stack the right-hand side and use that to clear out the guardian spot, which was Dullahan, as well as the goddess who was sitting at Poltergeist spot. But with these numbers, this is actually like I said, both of the players in the previous match did get to 8 characters just on their own. So we could just accidentally hit skip while we're still searching for espers.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. We do start with 3 characters. We'll see which 3 of them we start with in just a minute here. The Poltergeist flag set, just as a reminder, will have a Dragoon set for winning a Coliseum match. It will have Auto Haste and Auto Safe for killing 4 dragons. And it will have Y NPC set to remove, so we can potentially sequence break here, including getting that curse shield early. We'll see how many battles it is. It's between 11 and 20 this time around. Ultima is on the table, but lightning and ice magic is not on the table, so we'll see what happens here.
We had a 17 battle curse shield in the previous round, so hopefully for TheRealChadius and Outlaw.Star, it won't be quite that bad.
All right, so we'll have our runners get started here in just a second. We'll see who our starting 3 characters are. But again, with YNPC set to remove, there is sequence breaking available into places like the Norse Weapon Shop, the Magitech Factor, where you can get a character all the way at the end, into Edgar's Checks, where you can get upwards of 2 rewards plus a dragon, and you can also sequence break into Mount Zozo as well. We'll see who we start off with. We definitely have a lock right there. And with Gogo tomorrow, the dream team, folks. Natural magic runic lock, and this is a disgusting party, if I do say so myself. So no need to worry about YNPC remove for lock stuff. We could basically go get it for free, and that's exactly what Outlaw.Star is doing here, while Chadius is heading to the world of balance.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm getting blank screens on what I'm seeing on my end. I'm not looking at the streams directly, so I'm not sure if there's some technical issue going on.
Discord looks good. The stream looks good. Maybe switch channel and come back. Yeah, there we go. So Chadius did peak Yeti. I didn't see what the reward was because I was making sure the stream wasn't screwed. But that is a really smart play to head into the world of balance, Narsh, there to go see what the Yeti reward was. Falcon, it says, not a character. Thank you very much. So if you want to head up to the top of Narsh, we will not be getting a character on this particular seed up there. It'll be Esper item for Tritalk, Esper item from Yeti Cave, and that is an 18 battle curse shield. Woof. That might be a little bit too rich for my blood, Joker Mage. 18 battles on that curse
Yeah,
shield.
I'm back. That's weird that the second time tonight I had to restart Discord. I don't think it's a internet connection issue because I wasn't having any other trouble, so I think it's just some Discord thing on my end.
Yeah, so we do have a Seraphim there in the Narsh Weapon Shop, not a character at the Yeti Cave. So that leaves us with either Zone Eater or Phoenix Cave or South Figaro Cave, or Kefka at Narsh. I always forget Kefka at Narsh for our potential character spots here in the seed.
In the previous match, for those of us who weren't here to watch that, our starting party was Locke, Umaru, and Sabin. So pretty much the same group, only Gogo's taking the part of Sabin this time around.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get some fun spells with natural magic on Locke that Gogo can also use, but I foresee that, especially with the Umaru start, I think one of our racers will hit up the Coliseum for a chance to get an endgame build with a Dragoon set. But there are some fixed dice. Chadius looking in a pot for that in the classroom. I think Outlaw.Star must have looted that at some point.
And we
When he
also
did
see
his Narsh,
Chadius
but
just yeeting NPCs to the Phantom Zone left and right, even when it's not necessary.
yeah, I don't like the NPCs in Returners or in the classroom or in Nikea or or in Albrook. So you might see a lot of yeeting going on here.
If they're not selling you something, you don't want to deal with them.
So the other interesting thing is the choice that wasn't Seraphim at the Narsh Weapon Shop was a Dragon Horn. So we could potentially have multiple jumping builds in this seed, one from the Coliseum reward, and then if we eventually find Terra somewhere along the line, we may be able to get that Dragon Horn as well. So we'll see what our runners are doing as they are, sort of looting things. And Falcon Hit does point out in the chat that Outlaw.Star may not have looted the classroom. The classroom is a very long amount of time for just 3 chests. You could spend, I think, like 40 seconds in the classroom, and you only get 3 chests there. Earrings, hero ring, good stuff in
we
that
saw Dragoon boots
shop.
in one of the boxes too.
Yeah, so potential endgame build if we find Terra, because that Dragon Horn will be behind the Welk spot. But we already know we have a fixed dice. It just depends on who can equip that. And in this flag set, it is the vanilla equipment item pool plus 33% chance of a random one that you normally wouldn't have. So we'll see what happens here. The TheRealChadius heading into Dzen. Let's see what the Thief is selling. It's a 32,000 not Esper. So that is a high tier relic more than likely, or a flame shield or a mega elixir. In this set of flags, the Poltergeist Fury flag set, relics are going to be our dead check rewards here.
So at this point, what would be your first satchel check once you're done with looting?
Yeah, so this is difficult. I think that I would go to Zone Eater just to get it out of the way here to make sure that there isn't a character down there. You don't have to fight anything. And then you have to get some levels underneath you before you do something else. So maybe that's grinding by South Figaro Cave. As much as I think diving Phoenix Cave early is nice because of the amount of treasure that's in there, I might want to hold off because there's a dragon down there, and I don't know if I could take the dragon on. If I was going to go into Phoenix Cave, I'd take Locke and Gogo with me because I would probably be dropping Umaru at some point throughout my seed. So if I wanted to do Phoenix Cave, I would make sure I get some levels beforehand and then fight the dragon in there. So that might be my play here versus South Figaro Cave. But
we did get a rage ring for that Yeti just now.
Yeah, I think going to the Coliseum before going to do my first check is a good idea because then I could potentially get an endgame build with a Dragoon set before doing anything, because Runic is not really going to help me out win a fight at all.
And I guess the real question for you is, how many Marvel shoes do you expect to find in the seed?
Well, we already found one in a chest, so I'm already hating life. But yeah, another good point is the synergy between the Phoenix Cave and the Zone Eater check. So you could jump into the Phoenix Cave, split up your party, and on your way out of the Phoenix Cave, reduce it to 1, and then go do the Zone Eater check. The only thing is that I think that, unfortunately, I would like to see what the reward of Zone Eater is before I go into the Phoenix Cave, in case it's an Esper with something really juicy on it that dragon will teach me.
And I guess the other aspect is, if you get a character at Zone Eater, do you want to just switch and start doing that character check instead?
Well, I mean, the answer with everything in Worlds Collide is always it depends, right? If it's, say Edgar that I have, well, I could have already YMPC removed all my Edgar stuff already. So that's not as palpable to me as, another character would be, but your characters that generally come from your most recent party additions checks. So if I'm looking for additional characters, that would be the way I would go for sure.
It looks like Outlaw.Star heard your advice about taking some grind fights in South Figaro.
Yeah. There is the healing bucket right before the check. You could also do it in the basement too. I wouldn't mind taking off the Moogle Charm, taking 3 or 4 fights in the basement, and then use that to fight the Coliseum fights either. Unfortunately, with these 3 characters, there isn't a check that has forced encounters ahead of the check to gain you levels beforehand.
Yeah, and it looks like the TheRealChadius comes from the Saberwolf School of South Figaro, where you do it in reverse.
Yeah, with YMPC removed, you don't have to worry about getting blocked at the one side by that villager here. And I think I saw Locke naturally learn Merton, so we could potentially have some Fuego online very early.
I don't know if you saw that, but the TheRealChadius found yet another pair of Dragoon boots.
We're going to be jumping all over the place here, Joker. I didn't see if any of our characters could equip that fixed ice that was found. I think only Chad found it. I don't think Outlaw.Star found it. But this Enoch fight is usually a terror because of the fact that they can basically confuse your characters. But since the scaling is based on the number of checks that you've done, and Outlaw.Star has only done 1 check, that means that these characters are going to be pretty low levels. However, he has 4 pieces of progression, which means that his XP and GP that he's getting from these fights is going to be pretty good.
That was the 3rd Dragoon boots in your chest.
Yeah, so this is going to be Boo's favorite seed, I think, if he ever goes to play it here. And Outlaw.Star is going to take on the boss. Now, remember, he did all that grinding and didn't go back out and save. And oh no, it's a disaster! It is Ifrit, who absorbs fire magic and is only weak, really, to ice magic. We do have an ice rod, though, and we have Go-Go, so this is not a problem here.
It looks like TheRealChadius took that Seraphim as well. Ifrit is down.
Yeah, nice heads-up play from Outlaw.Star, knowing that he's got an ice rod in the inventory. Yeti could also do a lot of damage in that fight with that body slam, because it is defense ignoring. But Outlaw.Star cruising through that for Palador, so that means that we're down to 3 more spots for our character. Zone Eater, Kefka Norsh, or Phoenix Cave. Meanwhile, Chadius is parked outside of World of Ruin, Mount Zozo, so it looks like he's going for a sequence break here. Now, since it is a sequence break, and this is quote-unquote out of logic, this would be a cyan check, there may or may not be a character here. It's not logical, right? So every Worlds Collide seed has a logic to it, so that you can beat the game and get everything, all the characters and all the espers in the game through a logical path through the seed, even though it's character gated. So that means we're not guaranteed to find a character here, as that is an ice shield and a chest. Huge pickup for that early Merton there, Joker.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, sometimes you just don't want to be logical, and if your choices are like Phoenix Cave or Zone Eater or Kefka and Narsh, maybe that's a time to throw logic to the wind.
There's an offering in a chest there too. Perfect to pair with that fixed dice that he found. It's too bad I don't think anybody can actually use the fixed dice right now.
Yeah, the real Chadius did look, and no one was able to equip those fixed dice.
Thunder Shield and Albrook there, so we got Merton protection all over the seed here. Between Minerva's for sale in one of the shops I saw, it was a full price 64k Minerva, but nonetheless, and we do get a character there at Mount Zozo, saved by the Moogle here.
Yes, unfortunately, Mr. Spock would have never found that because it is out of logic.
Yeah, so Mog can naturally equip all of the lances in the game, so this would cause me to even further go for the Coliseum check, because the Dragoon set is a pair of Dragoon boots, a Dragon Horn, and a high tier spear. And it looks like Chad is not going to fight the dragon here, is instead going to reduce his party and warp out to go do the Zone Eater check. So this is an interesting play here.
Now, if Mog can equip the fixed dice by some chance, would you use him as a fixed dice jumper?
Oh, of course.
Because I think we've already found Dragon Horns and Dragoon Boots. So if you don't need that spear, you can probably skip Coliseum too.
That is correct.
Outlaw.Star is also being illogical and doing the Magitech facility checks.
Yeah, so Outlaw.Star did find a second Esper from that South Figaro Cave check, and he knows that he's down to just some pretty awful checks, so he's going to decide to go into the Magitech factory. The only character you can get is all the way at the end of the Magitech factory, though, so I think, Joker, being in here this early means you're full committing to doing all of Magitech factory.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, at these guys' level, but I kind of like Chadius' logic break of checking Zozo better than going through the entire Magitech facility at this point. But it's, there is guaranteed progression in the forms of Espers and such, so it could still pay off in other ways.
Yeah, I just don't like leaving that dragon on the table, because you do get auto haste and auto safe with the 4 dragon kills. And it also allows you to learn some nice spells. As you there see the menu cancel from Chadius to get past that Chancellor there. And unfortunately, we do not have any blitz for our Ghost Train here. Yeah, Falcon Hit points out that we do get Esper item from these first 2 checks of the Magitech factory, and unfortunately neither Gogo nor Umaro could equip Espers, so it'll be interesting to see, even if they do get Espers, what they will have on them, because Locke can only equip 1 Esper at a time, and that is another Esper there at Zone Eater, so that narrows our logic down to either Phoenix Cave or Kefka at Narsh, as Outlaw.Star grabs Phantom there.
Yeah, Crusader is a great Esper for multicasting if you don't like your party.
Yep. Little speed +1 action on that Phantom, so good to get that Esper bonus unlock early. Now let's see where Chadius decides to go.
Have we seen a lot of the Esper bonuses or spells yet?
Well, Outlaw.Star showed us all 3 that he has, and the only thing of interest on any of them was Osmos, which might come in importance, because remember, Locke naturally learned Merton, and there are multiple Genji gloves in the seed too. One of them was in Zone Eater, and the other one was there in the hidden chest in Magitech too. So lots of interesting treasures so far in the seed.
Yeah, just a walk here at the fake Magimaster spot. Although with Umaro possibly targeting the shell, it's less than optimal, but everyone else is jumping, so...
Yeah, I think Outlaw.Star's Umaro has a Rage Ring on, which will nullify that lightning damage that shell will put out. Unfortunately here, Welk goes into the Gru hole, and that means we are going to get a lot of lightning coming back. Ooh, nice play from Outlaw.Star using Runic here to counter the Welk counters. Really nice heads-up play. It doesn't work on bolt edges, though.
Yeah, bolt edges counts as like a thrown item, right?
Correct, yes. Please, Yeti, stop hitting the shell. Listen to Vixen Wedge.
So I almost feel like if I was in TheRealChadius' position, I might still want to go and do Lone Wolf, because that's not a really it's a bit of a walk, but it also lets you peek Kefka and Monarch.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Little merit award action for Mog with that fixed dice offering. So it seems like Chadius has found a way around the equipability there with that merit award. Really nice heads-up play from both of our runners here early on in the seed. And oh man, Welk, please just come out and let us kill you.
Maybe Muddle on Seraphim might be useful, but apart from that, it didn't really look like there's too much of interest on the current batch of Espers.
Yeah, so without a lot of good magic, we're going to have to rely on our physical offense and our commands. Commands being really bad with Runic. And there's another Dragon Horn for Outlaw.Star. So now he could at least get a full Pogo online. He just has to figure out what he's going to, or who rather, is going to be our jump around person.
Well, if they find Palador like they did in the last match, everyone can.
All right, so we're going to see the end of the Magitech factory here. It is 3 forced encounters and 2 bosses for Outlaw.Star. Meanwhile, Chadius is still on level 3 in spite of getting several checks here, so he's going to need something to get off of level 3, and it looks like he might start the Lone Wolf, as you mentioned there, Joker Mage, and that'll be yet another check under his belt, so he's going to have to be real careful of overscaling here.
He could potentially also do Moogle defense to get some fights in.
Yeah, I like that option much better as, oh god, run away. Yep,
oh,
use
look,
those
they brought
smoke bombs.
Yep, Outlaw.Star agrees. That's just Mog there at Moogle defense, so no character there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Chad is going to have to grind on these wolves that are trying to surround your party in order to get himself off of level 3 to fight whatever this boss is. By the way, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What's the rudest boss you would expect to see here at Moogle defense?
Tentacles. Early game, Tentacles is one of the worst bosses you can find. Because they will grab you and they will basically kill you. Because it deals a static like 60-70 damage.
And I wonder if Outlaw.Star picked Magitech facility for this fixed encounter section.
Yeah, so it's guaranteed progression at the end of this here, and this fixed encounter section will allow him to get a pretty decent run of levels here.
Also, that Chadius's lock does have the curse shield equipped. I think he's got Peace Ring because he still is muted, it looks like.
Yeah, it's 18 battles, so it's a lot of fights here to uncurse that shield, but the Paladin shield is definitely worth it if you could get it all the way to Kefka's Tower, fighting those shuffled statues here.
And having Peace Ring or Ribbon makes that a lot more palpable.
That's for sure.
Unfortunately, one of those words.
Yeah, unfortunately, not a lot of XP these fights are. They are not difficult, but he's not going to get a lot of XP. And part of that is because these fights don't normally give a lot of XP. And the other part of it is, at this point in the run, he's at the same progression that his opponent is, yet his opponent has a ton more levels. Using that Pearl Rod right there on Atma Weapon. Try and take it down fast, and oh no! Quasar coming out.
Luckily it locks in the air, but it's not, and that only did 176, so that's not terrible.
Yeah, that's the power of the levels right there for sure. So
Atma
if you are
down.
if you are interested in starting to play the game, we have a Discord. It's ff6worldscollide.com is the website, and there's a link to our Discord. When you get in the Discord, there is a beginner house that you can join, and pinned in the beginner house are links to submit either a video that one of our mentors will review, or you could schedule a mentoring session where you and a mentor will either play through a live seed or you'll do sort of a walkthrough with them of playing the game. So I think it's really helping out a lot of our community members here. And even though these are some of our newer community members, you could already see the great gameplay knowledge that they have between a couple of them here.
So we got Flying Yeti. I did see Outlaw.Star did get Palador, so we can just toss everyone into the air if we want to at some point. And I think Raiden was the Esper at the end, so unfortunately no character.
Yeah, so this Umaro shouldn't be that big of a problem. If it really did become a problem, we do have a Fire Rod that we could mimic. So GP Rain would be a good idea that Mog has got here. The problem is that GP Rain's damage is divided by the number of characters or number of enemies on screen. It's also based on your level, right? So his levels are getting up there finally, but they're not all that high. And with 5 enemies on screen, that really divides up the damage a lot. But in a case like this, where there's only 1 enemy left on screen, you might as well throw that cash away, because you're actually getting more cash from these fights than you would be spending doing the GP Rain command.
Okay, Outlaw.Star is through Magitech facility. Got a few Espers, but no characters.
All right, it looks like he's heading over to the Coliseum here, and we'll see exactly, 1, what's in the Coliseum, and 2, if we can get a nice spear for his Lock, who's already been jumping around with the boots and the horn.
He's already at level 23, and we're 23 minutes in, so that's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's the power of the end of the Magitech factory there. Atma Weapon, I saw.
Oh, hello.
And a Pearl Lance, and oh god, thankfully he's level 12. Yeah, so Atma Weapon is the reward for an echo screen here in the Coliseum. That is huge. That's something that we will see sooner, probably, rather than later, because that Atma Weapon can be used by Umaro. So that's really nice to see as well.
It looks like maybe going back for some more or looking for some others. Yeah, going to load up on Atma weapons. Why not?
Yeah, considering that all 3 of his characters can use it. Unfortunately, he won't be able to actually get them online until a little bit later, but you know what? You might as well stock up on them, because if worse comes to worse, you could just sell them.
And Doomgaze is down, fortunately, and all of his party's up, so they'll all get experience from that.
Very nice. We did also find a Genji glove, so we could even do Genji glove Atma weapon, which is not something I usually recommend, because I like to have a shield with my Atma weapon user to keep them at the maximum amount of HP. But hey, it's a strategy. Meanwhile, we are done with all of the Atma weapons there for Chad. I mean, not for Chad, for Outlaw.Star. And Chadius' timer is still going, but his...
Okay, I wasn't sure if my
game
Discord was acting up again, but yeah, it looks like something's frozen.
Yeah, I hope this is not a technical difficulty. You never really want to see this happen when you've got a race here. Outlaw.Star reducing his party down to 1, so you know what this means, Joker Mage.
Yeah, he's going to get another Esper.
Yeah, so I think he may get tossed off the bridge once. That's my prediction. You think he's going to scoot on by, or you think the Chancellors are going to get the best of him?
I think the Chancellors are just going to hang out in the back to troll.
We'll make this as long as humanly possible here. So we still don't know where our technical 4th character is, right? Because
at this point, I kind of think it has to be Kefka and Narsh, right?
Well, it's either Kefka Narsh or it's Phoenix Cave. So
Right.
I would go down into Phoenix Cave myself personally, as we get yet another Genji glove for Outlaw.Star. So he's got 2 Genji gloves, 2 boots, 2 horns, and 1 spear, and a lot of Atma weapons. So his offense is pretty good for a while. He has not, however, found that offering that Chadius found. I don't even remember where the heck it was. It was in a town somewhere, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't remember either.
Is it in zoning? Was it in here? If it was in that first chest that Outlaw.Star missed, then that's a real feels bad moment. Mount Zozo, thank you very much, chat. Coming in with the real plays there, as that is Esper number 5 for Outlaw.Star.
Do you think Outlaw.Star might decide to go ahead and sequence break some more at this point? I mean, he already did it for the Magitech facility, so maybe do it again for some of the other spots.
Yeah, if you're going to sequence break, you should remember what your logic is, right? Because then you can get into a situation where if, let's say, we find, I don't know, a character at Edgar's spot. Well, let's use Chad's example, right? Moogle Defense was not a character, and Lone Wolf is not guaranteed to be a character either, because remember that Mog is out of logic. So even if you go down the out of logic rabbit hole, you might be stuck having to go back into logic anyway, and now you're just even further behind than you would have been had you stayed in logic to get your next character.
Yeah. So
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, Outlaw.Star picked up the fixed dice in the Narsh and got the bad news that no one can equip it yet.
Yeah, it doesn't have the merit award. Merton Fire 3 and X Zone on that Esper. Very nice. Yeah, I don't know what it is. VLC sometimes will down pitch certain streams and up pitch certain other streams, so it's kind of awkward sometimes, and you have to do it like on a stream by stream basis. So our restream crew will figure that out and push the right beepity bops to make it sound more normal and not so creepy. Outlaw.Star did not peek the Umaro spot and doesn't know that this isn't a character up here, but is going to get a crack at a dragon and potentially 2 Espers. Alright, let's see. Is Chad's video back? No, it's still the same. His timer's still going. Yeah, it's very weird. Big ups to Knuckly Kong for doing the restreaming. Thank you so much for pushing all the buttons there as well. There's a lot of weird quirks that you don't realize until you've started doing it here. You definitely had no audio for a little bit at the end of the stream there.
Yeah, this is the 3rd time I've had to restart Discord because things just keep on freezing for me. So I don't know if there's just some weird Discord stuff going around tonight.
Alright, maybe he'll come back in just a moment. Meanwhile, we did fight and kill the blue Durgan for yet another Genji glove. So this is the seed of Genji gloves and dragon horns. We just don't have any weapons to use with those Genji gloves, aside from the Atma weapons. And like I mentioned, the Atma weapon does its most amount of damage when you're at the highest amount of HP. So normally you want a shield with your Atma weapon.
We don't have too many characters either. We're already half hour in, and I mean, we don't know what's happened with Chadius' side, but Outlaw.Star still is only on 3.
Yeah, and as we know, because we have omnipotence here in the booth, that, or is it omniscience? I don't know. Anyway, fancy word for saying that we know what's going on between both runners. We know that our next character has to be at Kefka at Norsh or Phoenix Cave in Logic, right? We could go down the Edgar path and get another character out of Logic, but that isn't guaranteed that his checks or the character that would be in Edgar's checks would lead to yet another character. It's one of those weird sequence break things that you don't have that often in this game, but with YNPC set to remove, you could sequence break into checks that you're not allowed to go do. All right, and that's number 128 down at the top of Mount Narsh.
So we know that this isn't, well, we know this is an Esper now, but we know that the, oh, it looks like we got Chadius back.
Nice.
Hopefully we can get some information from his tracker about what he's done and what he's gotten for it.
Yeah, he doesn't have a tracker, so this will be
Oh,
fun.
okay.
Whoops. Yep. Well, we do know that this spot here is not a character, it's an Esper. I would have to assume that he did both Kefka at Norsh and Lone Wolf after striking out at Moogle Defense. And here comes Muddle from Outlaw.Star.
Well timed.
The problem is that Yeti is going to have to just not hit. And there we go. That is an offering there for Outlaw.Star as well.
Yeah, I think it was good that the Yeti actually acted before the Muddle came out.
And we've got a Shiva appearance. I think this might have been on purpose because we do not have any ice magic in this seed. We only have fire magic.
And I'm guessing TheRealChadius didn't have the ice rod like Outlaw.Star did.
Oh no! Oh, I thought that said shrapnel. That was Snowball. Snowball's not a big deal.
I mean, ideally, this Yeti check is going to be an Esper, because otherwise you just went through all this for, you know, harder bosses and possibly Marble Shoes.
Yeah, we'll see. We could actually check if it's an Esper or an item before we pull it, and this is another Magicite there. So this won't be a dead check, so at least Outlaw.Star is getting value going all the way up Norsh. The problem is his character is in another castle, as another game would say. And that is at least 4 Espers there for Chad. Now is the moment of truth. There's 3 on the screen. And you're going to scroll down and you're going to show us the 4th one. I'm trying Jedi mind tricks, but I don't know if it'll actually work.
I mean, I don't know if... We don't know if he found any extra characters either, do we?
Correct. We have no idea what he found at the top of Narsh.
And it looks like Outlaw.Star already has mute on a character, so we know that's like one problem solved for the future.
Yeah, that might be the natural magic that Locke has. Alright, so Chad is stopping at Nikea. Did he maybe pick up Gao? I'm just like speculating. Is he looking for dried meat maybe? Oh, there it is. There is Gao in the menu. So I was right with my speculation. So we do have another character from sequence breaking.
Or possibly Kefka and Narsh, because it's entirely possible Chadius did.
Oh, that's true. That. Yeah, that is true. Kefka and Narsh is one of the 2 possibilities of our in Logic next character. The other being Phoenix Cave. We'll see where Outlaw.Star decides to go. He's already level 29. So, very good at keeping the levels there. looks like we're going to do our Velt check here from Chad, or maybe he's just going to go through Serpent Trench, because I didn't see him take his party down to 3. So when you do the Velt check, you need to have 1 open slot for the reward.
I don't think he found dried meat, so...
Yep, so when you don't find dried meat, you put off the Velt check until you come across it, essentially. Doing a dried meat hunt in the middle of a seed is never fun.
Yeah, plus this might also help get Chadius back ahead of scaling.
Yeah,
and
so I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, we're now seeing the Phoenix Cave check on Outlaw.Star side.
Yeah, so given that TheRealChadius still has Umaro in the party, as Falcon Hit points out in the chat, Gao must not have great commands in order for him to be benched. Or maybe Chadius is just an Umaro apologist. We do have those weird creatures in our community. Throwing shade at Umaro, as I always do.
So, I mean, how bad of a Gao are you expecting this is?
I mean, you know, there's always, like, control. Well, we can't do Runic, right? Because we already have Runic. Maybe control Dance Gao? I don't know.
I like control for the super early game, like when you're trying to do your initial grind, just because there's some more dangerous fights you can get through if you have the enemy not fight you.
Yeah,
but after that, it's kind of like, I have better things I could be doing.
Yeah, a defensive Gao is just as good as an offensive one in the early game sometimes. But yeah, it depends, because Chadius also has not found some of the Espers that Outlaw.Star has. I mean, there was the one with Fire 3 and Merton, and there's also one with Osmos in it. So maybe Chadius has not found those Espers and hasn't pivoted Gao to a magic-centric role that we know that he could probably do over Umaro just smashing things.
We saw that, I'm not sure, but there might have been a second Esper with Merton on it.
Yeah, I only saw the one. Alright, so Phoenix Cave, we do have an opportunity to take on a dragon here, and Outlaw.Star has already taken on one dragon, so I anticipate him taking on a second one here. Alright, let's see what's at the end of the Serpent Trench. Remember, this is still out of logic, because I'm assuming...
Potentially.
Actually, no, you're right. It may not be out of logic. And there is Setzer face down at the end of the Serpent Trench. Oh, shock Setzer.
Well, the question is, where did that Gao come from?
Right. If Gao came from Kefka at Narsh, then it could be fine. If Gao came from Lone Wolf, then we'd still be out of logic.
Now, if this was Cyan instead of Setzer, it kind of would imply that Gao was Kefka and Narsh, because that Setzer would be the one who would lead to Mog. Or, I'm sorry, that Cyan would lead to Mog.
Where did Cyan come from?
No, I was saying if Setzer was Cyan.
Oh. Oh, hey, there's Gao in the Phoenix Cave.
Oh, okay, so at some point, Chadius went on to Phoenix Cave, so this is all fine. We're fine. Everything is fine, except for that Mog.
Oh my god, Dance Control Gao! Let's go! I've been doing this too many times with Warring Triads. I need to stop.
But yeah, I mean, it explains why, the Yeti is still on Chadius' side.
Yeah, only 28 magic power, too, with that Gao, which is very low for Gao. Gao usually has way higher magic power than that. And...
Cafe check is Phoenix.
Alright, another Esper there for Chad. That's at least 5, and yeah, that's 4 on this screen and then 1 on the other screen, so that's only 5 for him.
Do we know what's on that Palador?
Garbage. I think garbage. You said Muddle, maybe?
I'm not sure where the Muddle was. I know Muddle was on one of them, and we've already seen it get used.
Yeah, well, I say garbage because 9 times out of 10 it is, but it actually helped in this seed. All right, Zen Thief is a Genji glove too, so it's all Genji gloves and dragon horns, folks.
That was much cheaper than the other price, though.
Yeah, but you don't need a third Genji glove. You barely even need one. With the weapons that we found thus far, I should clarify. Ice rods for sale. Not going to pick them up in spite of having 50,000, even after dropping 20 on a set of Genji glove. Meanwhile, Chadius is moving right along here, taking that Setzer.
This makes perfect sense. Like, you're looking for espers, you're looking for characters, at least one more character, maybe two if you want that skip.
Yeah, it looks like Outlaw.Star is doing the dried meat hunt right now with Gao. And this is the thing that stinks about finding Gao later in the seed, is that if you stop everything and start doing a dried meat hunt, you start to feel further and further and further behind.
Now, if there's a character here, does Chadius take the character and just go on an esper hunt, or does put this in the back pocket until you find the espers?
No, you don't reset out of this here because you need to get to 7 characters anyway, and there's some dried meat at the scene of the crime in Nikea. Yeah, you remember it's what, 8 character skip in this one, right? Yeah, so we're hoping we get to 8 enhancers and Magus rods in that store, and snipers. Nikea looking pretty loaded there. All right, so now Outlaw.Star presumably is going to head to the Veld, which I don't think we've seen yet, correct?
No, because there's been no dried meat until recently.
Yeah, that World of Ruin Nikea shop, for some reason, it has paid off pretty well, and maybe that's just confirmation bias talking, but every time I go there, I seem to find something fun there.
Well, if I remember the lore correctly, the Serpent Trench gets raised to the surface when Kefka destroys the world, right? So maybe they just started scraping all the stuff off the bottom of the Serpent Trench now that it's surfaced.
There you go. A lore valid reason for why World of Ruin Nikea is great. Yes, and Chadius making the correct play there, resetting out of Marvel shoes. Oh, nobody can wear the Minerva. Marvel shoes are terrible.
Did anyone search the skies yet? Or I should say, did Chadius search the skies yet?
No, it can only be an Esper or an item, so that particular check, I would wait until I get my character to go do. Yeah, look at Chad's levels. They're so far below what Outlaw.Star's is. So this is going to be an interesting thing, right? Because Chadius definitely has the progression advantage with more characters, but Outlaw.Star has the higher levels. So this will be a real sticking point once we start to go a little bit further on here.
I mean, we're back to the question of, has anyone checked Kefka and Narsh then?
That's true. I would have to assume, and this is just my assumption, that Chadius, after getting not a character at Mool Defense, went up to the top of Narsh and did whatever he did there and didn't find anything. So it could be possible that Phoenix Cave was the play all along.
Well, having Setzer is great because now you got someone who can take those fixed dice without needing a merit award.
Yep, and that's what Chad did right there for number 128, or rather, excuse me, number 24.
Hey, remember these guys?
Yeah, this is a disgusting fight. Smoke bomb out of there. Good idea. That is an Esper though, from the Doomgaze spot, and with Daryl's Tomb not having a character, the Colingen Inn not having a character, and Search the Skies obviously not having character, I think the Veld probably has a character here, based on the fact that we've got no other checks to go do, right?
That does make sense, and again, we're assuming that Chadius did check Kefka and Narsh at this point.
Run away. Yeah, these guys stink. Kefka Tower mobs.
And the dried meat was World of Ruin Ikea, right?
Yeah, I don't know if Chad found it somewhere or if he's still looking, but he must be still looking. That's why he's in Elbrook. Yep. And after 2 people are frozen, Outlaw.Star says thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, that's a Thunder Shield at the end of the Albrook there by the inn.
Ooh, little curse ring action there in the relic shop. I usually like to buy those because you never know when you're going to run into instant death magic. So might as well slap that bad boy on, and you can learn X Zone.
Okay, so is that the main benefit of the curse ring? Is that you can get X Zone from it?
That is correct. That's what it does. It gives you condemned, but you can learn X Zone, which to me is totally worth it because it's an instant death spell that helps you out in the final battle on multiple tiers.
And condemned, you can usually deal with as long as your party's good enough.
Yeah, just wait, trick it a little bit, and you'll be fine. Unfortunately, Outlaw.Star not getting the luck there, but does learn Ultima.
Also looks like a behemoth.
I thought learn Ultima. Fight. Yeah, so whenever you defeat Senor Behemoth, Scrontian Behemoth, Super Behemoth, Sriracha Behemoth, whatever you want to call it, you do get a drop of a Behemoth suit. And oh, there's our character. There it is. Terra at the Veld. Yeah, don't throw a Pearl Rod at her. That's not very nice.
Okay, so obviously Outlaw.Star hasn't found the Cyan to go get Mog in Logic. So we're assuming that our actual character number 7 is going to be off of one Terra's checks, I guess.
Yeah, well, again, we're assuming, because we didn't see Chad's stream, right? Chad, we're assuming that he did the top of Narsh, and there wasn't a character at Lone Wolf or Kefka at Narsh. That means Terra is required to go forward. And one of the interesting things about having Terra with YMPC set to remove, you don't have to fight the boss at the top of Zozo Tower. You can just yeet him out of the way.
Now, the other thing is Outlaw.Star might not do Serpent Trench instead of deciding to do Terra's checks. It might not find Setzer.
Yeah, that might not be a problem, as lore is what Terra has. That's nice. Yeah, that might not be a problem because, again, Setzer doesn't lead to any characters. We know that there must be more characters in Terra's branch in order to complete the seed, right?
Right.
We just don't know how far down that branch it is. I would say some things about what the next branch could be, but I don't want to commentator curse it.
I mean, I'll say it then. Or Knuckly will say it.
No, I was going to say have Shadow somewhere and then have the character be at Floating Continent 3 or something awful like that. Sure. Or Espers, correct.
What is Terra's fastest check?
Either Welk if you want to fight a boss, or Sealed Gate Cave if you don't go and loot any of the chests. I still think Welk is faster than Sealed Gate Cave, even if you don't loot any of the chests. But again, that means you have to fight a boss, right? And the interesting thing is, now that we have Terra, right? Remember, we can go get our 5th Dragon Horn if we really want to. Meanwhile, Chad picking up his 7th character, Terra. So now he just needs 3 more Espers for Go Mode. And if you recall, the Kefka Tower skip is 8 characters or 11 Espers or 21 checks. So we know that there is a distinct possibility that we can get to our 8 characters. It's just going to be in Terra's path here for Chad.
Yeah, like I imagine like you could easily just stumble upon character 8 while you're still looking for 3 more Espers.
Yeah, because Terra has a lot of checks, has a couple of peekable ones, and here's one of the peekable ones. It's at
Also, I was completely wrong. The Outlaw.Star is going for the Serpent Trench.
Yeah, so they'll get their Setzer. which will be nice. But they are still a couple characters behind, because remember, Mog was sequence broken. And there is Shadow. God damn it. Why do I do this to people?
I mean, at this point, though, do we care about floating continent? Like, is it a good idea to go there for those extra espers, or?
Absolutely not. There's way faster stuff to do. So if you pick up Shadow, you get Gal Manor, which is a free check and very fast. You get access to the Delta Cave, which you can peek. And then Terra still has
the other checks.
The other checks, yeah. Welk being something you can peek. Zozo Tower and Sealed Gate being ones that you don't have to fight bosses with YNPC remove. And then there's that river thing that we don't want to talk about.
It looks like he didn't go for that, but maybe he might come back for that for Skip once he's found the espers.
Yeah, that is the play. You don't need Shadow right now. Your party is set with the party that you've got, right? So there's no reason to get Shadow other than to get the Skip. Or to open up more checks. And we don't really want to open up more checks at this time. That's true, but if we're not going to use them, it's not as big of a deal. I understand, like, it's better to have meat shields at higher levels, but, 5 or 10 extra levels isn't going to do all that much. And there is our Setzer.
Yeah, so we just saw Lone Wolf, so I'm assuming that if he did fight Lone Wolf before, he reset out of it.
Okay.
But we are going to see Welk.
Not a character here, okay.
Is a Guardian.
Yeah, good pickup there, Joker, on the fact that we still had to trigger, or we still were triggering Lone Wolf there.
I mean, like I said, it's possible he did already go do Lone Wolf, and Kefka and Arshan just didn't find anything, so reset out of it.
Right. All right, so Outlaw.Star is going to probably go to either Setzer or Terra checks, because I think he's exhausted everybody else. Yeah, there it is. Raiden, that's the one with Merton and all that other fun stuff, which I think was in the Magitech factory, right?
I forget where exactly they found it.
I could have sworn that it was one of the Magitech factory things. Anyway,
the point is, with all those Thunder Shields and Flame Shields and other stuff, you kind of got an end game put together with that Merton.
Yeah, don't even really need the fixed dice offering when you have the Atma weapon offering for Outlaw. All right, and here we go. It looks like we're going to have a double Guardian fight from our runners.
I am kind of curious where Cyan is hiding at this point.
I mean, Cyan could be down a very long path, right? Mog could be technically your last logical character that you can get.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious about how much of a sequence break that Mog was.
All right, so let's see what we get here. It's either an Esper or an item, and it is Siren. That is a huge Esper to find. Although I think you mentioned already, Joker, that we had Butte. But that has Ultima on it.
That was Kieran.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kieran is the one with Ultima.
Yeah, but I think it also had Merton, too. It looks like it might have had Merton and Ultima on it.
Yeah.
There's some very spicy Espers now.
Yeah.
We got lots of fun options.
Yeah, so Chad is saying that it's Fire 3, Cure 3, Merton, Ultima, and Quick all in one Esper, which is insanity.
That's the only Esper you need.
Yeah. All right, so Chad is showing us here that Lone Wolf is not a character, and neither is Kefka at Narsh, so we had to go pick up Gao at the Phoenix Cave, and that is our logic sorted out for the seed.
Oh man, you're passing up a gem box?
Blech. Don't want one of those either. Especially without an economizer. With an economizer, I could make a case for it, but gem box just makes everything taste twice as long.
Well,
And
that Bismarck is number 8 for him, so definitely a better choice than the gem box.
oh, for sure. So Chadius is on the precipice here of maybe unlocking Kefka and then going back to Moblez to unlock Skip. However, that's got life 3 and magic power +1 on it. However, you can look at his levels, 28, 25, 26. He's going to need to be a lot higher levels in order to take down the gauntlet that is Kefka Tower with shuffled statues.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of the thing that you really need to be paying attention to is how are you planning on dealing with those statues?
Did Outlaw.Star do two? I thought he did 2 dragons. I don't remember if he did one in the Phoenix Cave or not. No, he did not actually do one in the Phoenix Cave. Okay, never mind. That is, however, Esper number 8 for Outlaw.Star, and okay, he is going to go do Kefka at Narsh here.
We know it's not character, so we're hoping it is an Esper and not, something useless.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I don't think he triggered Lone Wolf.
Who?
Oh, he doesn't have Mog. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Schwanz doesn't know what he's talking about. Surprise, surprise.
Chadius, just pulled that Mog out of the Chaos Void.
Yep. Yeah, Fire 3 Merton, Cure 3 Ultima Quick. That is a stupid Esper. Plus, Siren... I mean, it's okay for an Atma Weapon user or a Valiant Knife user, but it's kind of meh. However, the summon of Siren is really nice because that will mute everything on screen, which is useful for Tier 2. So that is probably one of the best Espers I've ever seen, if not the best.
It's the kind of Esper you tell your grandkids about.
Alright, so we got a couple of Kefka and Narshes here from our runners.
Just missed out on completely dodging all of them. I think it was the last guy who runs back and forth that this is.
Well, that's just another battle to uncurse that shield, huh?
Has Outlaw.Star been to Moblez yet?
No.
Okay, so it doesn't know that Shadow is there waiting.
Yeah, so Outlaw.Star still has Fleet River or Zozo Tower or Moblez, basically, from his territory. Or Sealed Gate. We haven't seen that either.
I mean, we do know Moblez is an answer. Whether it's the answer depends on what else is out there.
Yeah. Yeah, so interestingly, in Poltergeist flag sets, we do have access to Shock. So Outlaw.Star taking advantage of it on these mobs. Shock is a very good ability. However, it sort of tails off towards the end of the seed when you could, deal with boss elemental weaknesses better and have more physical damage, stuff like that. But for clearing out mobs like this, it's great to have.
Outlaw.Star is just hitting all of the mobs, however. Meanwhile, we do have Rexall as the actual Kefka spot. Not great not having ice spells here, but I think there's plenty of answers for this.
Yeah, unfortunately with the offering, you can't really target which spell you want to, or which enemy you want to hit. And those soul savers don't offer very much in terms of not wanting to be hit. They just take time.
Yeah, those are just damage shields for Rexall, basically.
Yeah, and this is also not good with Outlaw.Star's party composition because he's got Shock from Setzer and then the offering with the Atma weapon from Locke. But both of our runners are definitely going to pull through this. It's just going to take a little bit of time, and this is not a character, correct?
No, we are hoping it is an Esper.
If it is, that'll give Chadius go mode.
And he can just run over to Mobilize for skip. One of them got Merton. Oh, just Genji Glove. So
I feel like the thumbnail for this video should be Dave Chappelle with like, y'all got any more of them Genji gloves?
Yeah, but it does mean we are still on the hunt for the elusive Esper number 9.
We do have plenty of options, though. You know, we've got a couple of options that don't involve any fights. Like I mentioned, we have Zozo Tower, which you could remove the boss out of the way with YNPC remove. And we do have the Sealed Gate Cave, which doesn't require any fights either. Now, Chadius's levels are up to 32. And I think Outlaw.Star is at 35. So the gap between level disparity is closing here, folks.
We're going to see, looks like Zozo here.
Yeah, so Chadius finally uncursed that shield. That was 18 battles, if you remember, way back to the beginning of the seed. 1 hour into the race.
And then more benefits to the Y remove is that this is a much easier climb.
Yeah, Y remove just makes terrorist checks 1,000 times better. Because you could also do the Zozo Tower check in the World of Ruin with Y remove, because you could yeet the lane guy out of the way on the one tower. So you can actually do both Terra's check and Cyan's check in the same go. You just have to warp out. You just have to warp out in between.
Okay, we got Sealed Gate coming out on the Outlaw.Star side. I don't think he bothered with looting the basement in the Imperial base at all.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to. He's got everything he needs. He needs Espers and another character.
Did not Y remove the Narapa, however.
Yeah, I don't disagree here. Chadius is behind in levels, I think. 30, 30. When you're about to go into Kefka's Tower in this flag set, being at level 30 is not great. Alright, let's see what's at the end of the cave to the Sealed Gate. Not a character. So that means our answer is either where Chad is going, or it's at...
Another Genji Glove!
Are you kidding me?
Hey, at least they're not all Marvel shoes.
Yeah, that's true. It could be worse. Genji gloves sell for a lot more. Keeping us in suspense and... Oh, man! You hate to see it happen. Wow.
Is Elite River have an Esper? Is that what's happening here?
So here's what's happening. Shadow is definitely an option for us at Mobiles, right? And that might be the only character that comes out of Terra's checks. The only other option that we've got now for in logic is Elite River, besides going to Mobiles and getting Shadow and doing Shadow's checks.
Oh, we're going to check Opera House, or Auction House, I mean. Maybe. Are we?
Yeah, I don't know. He's got 113 grand, so it is definitely an option for him. I would much rather go up and do Umaro stuff, because if I was him, I would feel like I need more levels.
Did he already do Umaro stuff?
I don't think so. It's hard to tell, because again, he doesn't have a tracker. But I don't think so. Does that say glowing stones are available?
I think it did.
Okay. So we do know that there are Espers in the auction house. Outlaw.Star here in the World of Ruin. Oh, look at this. He's going to go do the sequence break and get Mog. So now the problem is, does he follow the Mog to try and get his 8th character? Because then that would be a mistake. That would give Chadius some time back here.
I wonder if he'll just go straight up to tower after getting Mog.
Okay, so Chad is heading over to World of Ruin, Jador, which is the auction. So in the World of Ruin, the items come out of the auction house if you buy them. In the World of Balance, they do not. So if you want to get an Esper on the cheap, or have a chance at getting an Esper right away, World of Balance, but you're not guaranteed to ever get the Esper. With World of Ruin, at least you could increase your chances to get that Esper by taking the $50,000 item out of the item pool. And here is another Dragonhorn. And this is the $10,000 item. That is crazy. So we don't want to buy this because that only increases the chances that we get the Imp Robot. So Chad wisely passes up on this.
Red Dragon at Mount Zozo.
And he'll come back for it again. Yeah, unfortunately, Outlaw.Star did not take the dragon in Phoenix Cave. Otherwise, this would be his 3rd, but as it is, it's only his 2nd.
Okay.
All right, so then here's the $50,000 item. It's some ninja gear, which coincidentally we would get for free if we go get Shadow. 2nd dragon down for Outlaw.Star. Let's see what this drop is.
Someone learned Quake.
Enjoy your expensive ninja gear. And that's an experience egg. Oh, boy. Could you imagine if Chad did this way back when he got Mog instead of warping out to go do Zone Eater? Holy cow. This would have been a radically different seed.
We got Alexander on the table. And this is the 20,000 Esper. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the $20,000 reward slot. So there is our 9th Esper there, as both of our runners hit go mode at essentially the exact same time. Chad getting it just before Outlaw.Star does. Now, Chad knows that Shadow is in Mobliz for his skip. Outlaw.Star does not know where his next character for skip is.
Do we have stats on like how many checks Outlaw.Star has?
Let's find out, shall we? And go give the runners a follow while you are hanging out here in the chat. Okay. So he just has to do 2 more, which basically is Colin Janin and Search the Skies, and he doesn't even need an 8th character, so he's going to do that.
I thought he already did Search the Skies.
Okay, well, so much for that. Thanks for keeping me honest, guys.
I mean, this puts him only needing 1 check, right?
Right, and that means he could just do the Opera House Dragon and be done with it. Life 2 on that spell.
I mean, interestingly enough, he's also like 1 character and 1 Esper away from those skips as well. So really anything puts him into skip at this point.
Yeah, as we were talking about earlier, Joker Mage, skip is relatively easy this seed, right? You kind of just fell into it, multiple different paths. Although a lot of these dead checks definitely helped. Thank you, 5 Genji Gloves. We appreciate you.
So this is Dragon 3. Would Outlaw.Star possibly want to do a 4th dragon or just go straight to statues?
If he's going to do it, it's going to be from Fanatic's Tower or going to the entrance instead of the statues and doing it there.
Okay, Chadius is going straight to the tower, not going to get Shadow. Is doing the entire, like loading up the right-hand side, so possibly is also close to check skip.
Yeah, so here's what Chadius is doing. He's going to overload all of his party into Party 3 there. He's going to kill the Inferno spot, kill the Guardian spot, and kill the Poltergeist spot, all with a full team. Then he has to warp out of Kefka's tower, and when he does that, he'll go back over to Mobliz to grab Shadow and unlock Kefka Tower Skip. And then when he gets Kefka Tower Skip, he'll come back to the tower and split his party, 2 on the left side, 2 on the right side, scrub in the middle, and then we'll be able to take on those really high bosses with a greater percentage of his full party.
Okay, KT Skip is now available for Outlaw.Star, as well as yet another Dragon Horn.
Yeah, so Outlaw.Star now, all of his bosses are level 50. We know that because he's at 21 checks, and the scaling is checks times 2.5, and anything over 20 gets you to 50, which is the max scaling here.
His party's all at 40 plus, though. Looks like at least all the characters that he cares about.
Yeah, so his levels are definitely higher than Chadius's levels, which is part of the reason why he's just going straight in and is not doing the party overload as we saw from Chadius there. It makes me wonder, like, we know that Shadow has to be the 8th character, but who would be the 9th character and where would they be, sort of thing? And as you mentioned before, how are you actually supposed to get Mog? All right, so Chad is going to go and take on the Guardian spot here with his party. This is smart because we know that this is not a statue boss. We also know that it's not Guardian either because we fought Guardian earlier in the stream.
Yeah, maybe some enterprising player will full clear the seed for us and let us know. But we just see a pair of cranes here.
Beautiful, majestic birds, those cranes. Long necks, waterfowl. Oh, you mean Niles and Fraser. Never mind.
I mean, the things that you make out of paper for origami.
Well, they might as well actually be made out of paper, as we do see Ultima plus Mimic, and that is going to spell the end of the cranes pretty soon here.
We got some triplets here over at the ambush spot.
Ooh. This is not a fun fight at the end of the game. And unfortunately for our runners, we don't have any ice magic. We don't have any lightning magic. So we only have fire magic. And that means that our fire stooge, Curly, who normally we'll want to take out first, is going to be more difficult to handle than normal. Thanks for the Pearlwind, though. That'll teach that to Terra to heal the party. And we got a vanilla spicy chicken here. We'll see how well our party of Ultima plus Mimic plus Yeti handles it. And remember, Gogo can use the Atma weapon as well. So even if we run on MP, we still have ways around this fight.
That Merton only hit Terra for 0, it looked like.
Yeah, that was a counter attack. So with Worlds Collide, there is such a thing as element scaling. So the counter attacks from Poltergeist that are normally like Fire at 3 can actually be upgraded to things like Merton or S-Cross or Flare Star in that particular manner. So normally you never see a single target Merton except in cases where it's a counter attack on a scaled up spell from elemental scaling.
And we do see Outlaw.Star just hanging out in the magic menu while between
oh boy
casts.
Goner coming out from spicy chicken. So this is more of that elemental scaling here. Let's see what happens. I think Umaro is going to die. Oh! Umaro tanking it like a champ! Throwing Terra at the problem. Let's go. Spicy chicken down. That was amazing. Alright, I might be starting to come around on Yeti. Don't tell him I said that, though. Yeah, the Rage Ring is great for Umaro because that will actually nullify lightning, absorb fire, and then his natural snow muffler will absorb ice. So it makes him sort of elemental indestructible, and that Yeti throw will ignore defense, right? So that's why it did so much damage to Poltergeist, where Poltergeist normally has very high physical defense.
But yeah, that was really effective of Outlaw.Star to get through that with partial party and stuff, because that's just going to make it a lot faster to get to final Kefka at this point.
All right, it looks like Doom and Goddess have switched spots, because this is the Goddess spot where Doom is, and by process of elimination, that means that Goddess is going to be on the other side. The nice thing about Outlaw.Star's composition for his party here is that he's got somebody with an offering to go through the second phase of Doom. So on Doom's second phase, he gets the image status, which means that all physical attacks will miss. They do have a 1/4 chance of breaking that image status, but with the offering, that bypasses that. Unfortunately, Locke is getting bullied a little bit here. Gonna have to heal himself back up.
Ultimately, Gao could also just challenge Doom to a dance-off.
Yeah, I don't see Doom boogieing down all that hard. What do you do with that third arm, for instance? How do you dance with that? Actually, it looks like he's got 4 arms. What a jerk.
Double floss.
There you go.
Or a really complicated Macarena.
He could do the lawnmower and the shopping cart at the same time. There you go.
A really complicated lawn sprinkler, too.
Taking out Doom right there. So that's one more boss left for Outlaw.Star, and that is Goddess, and that'll be against his Setzer with Shock. So that's going to take a long time, that fight, because Goddess has pretty high magic defense, and even though Shock is pretty powerful, it does not pierce that defense.
Does Outlaw.Star have fixed dice?
He does, so that is also a possibility. So he could use the fixed dice offering on Goddess. Remember, Goddess will counter physical attacks with Love Token, which means that the person who attacked has to eat those physical attacks for her. However, we got a boots on Mog here. So we might see a jumping Mog up and down in the air here to help supplement some of this damage.
I don't think Goddess's Love Token triggers on jump though, right?
That's correct. It's only on the fight command. All right, so Outlaw.Star being smart here, instead putting the Thunder Shield on Setzer, because Thunder elemental spells is what Goddess uses and what she counterattacks with. The really nice heads-up play there from him. GP Rain also would ignore defense.
He's just going to go ahead and ping away at her with the Shock and just get healed by those bolt spells.
Yeah, you could see how much more damage Mog is doing, right, than Setzer is. And that's just because Goddess is pretty high magic defense, not as high regular defense.
Chadius, meanwhile, has brought the main party to the spicy chicken fight.
Yeah, already getting a little unlucky there with the stop blaster on Setzer. Thankfully has learned life too. Oh boy, Mog goes down in a flash there.
Now, do you try to bring Mog back up in this?
Oh boy. Well, he's gonna have to restart this fight, so.
Okay, I guess the answer is yes, but not by choice.
Yep. Yeah, so it might be time for Outlaw.Star to pivot from using Shock to maybe using that fixed dice offering here. So we'll see how he responds to that. Although, honestly, you can't really do much against the hyperdrive. That sort of is
It looks like
That's an instant death.
Yeah, it looks like he took a thunder shield off. Might be trying to get more thunder shields on.
Yeah, Thunder Shield is not going to help with Hyperdrive though, and that's part of the problem. He's got to keep Mog alive and also not get Hyperdrive countered. Meanwhile, Chadius does defeat his spicy chicken there. So what he's going to do is he's going to save and then warp out of the tower. As I mentioned, go get Shadow for skip and then be on his way. Hopefully he now sees, oh, I have fixed dice. Let me go and use that instead.
That love token came out, though.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right, so Chad is going to find out who this boss is and finds out it's Goddess. So now he also is prepared to know what boss is in which spot. So that's really good, smart heads-up play there from Chadius, getting a little peek. Costs maybe about 15 seconds to do that, but it'll help you out in the long run because then you could prepare your exact party for the exact boss that you're facing. Woo woo. Oh boy.
Chadius is going right back in.
Huh. Interesting.
I guess he thinks has decided that's going to be quicker than going for Shadow. And again, that would be, I mean, that is the mobilist fight. That can take a bit of time.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is way longer. The mobilist fight will last a couple of minutes, right? And walking through the tower is 3 or 4 minutes as well. So, I'm sorry, I misspoke when I said way longer. It's just somewhat longer. All right, Fire Rod coming out here for Outlaw.Star and does make it through Goddess. Nice heads-up play there to use the Fire Rod. That does a maximum amount of damage Fire 2 spell, so that can get around Goddess's defense. Great heads-up play there from Outlaw.Star.
So he's going to go into the final Kefka fight around like 125 or so.
Depending upon how he is with his menu. Remember, he's got to put shields on other people now because he took some of his shields off in order to get through that fight there.
But probably at least by the 130 mark.
Yeah, I would say definitely 125 he'll be on the switches. Meanwhile, Chadius is heading back through the tower, so he split his party so that 2 of his main parties in slot 1, 2 of his main parties in slot 2, and hopefully he brought the right characters to the right boss fight, because remember, he did peek it on the way in.
That's kind of the danger of doing it this way, too, is that you need to remember which group is in which slot.
All right. Just as you mentioned, Joker, right before 125, we're stepping on the switches, and we'll be heading up to fight Kefka. We do have some instant death with X Zone. I think maybe Chadius might have had that because he was the one that bought the curse ring, right? So maybe Outlaw.Star does not. We know we have access to Siren for Mute on tier 2. I don't remember if we've seen Golem or Fenrir or...
We've seen Life 3. I know there's Life 3 at the very least.
Okay. So that's good enough for Calmness Protection in this flag set. If we were doing Goddess's flag set, however, then that would be a different story.
And I think there might have been X-Zone on an Esper too, but I'm not certain about that.
All right. We'll see what there is here. We do know that there's also Phantom for, Calmness Protection in a pinch. That is very difficult. I always fail when using Phantom as Calmness Protection, so I tend to never use it. So when you're setting up your party for Final Kefka, whoever goes in slot number 4 will go first on tiers 2, 3, and 4. So usually you want to put your instant death user in slot number 4 there. And there we go. We do have X Zone.
Yeah, that X Zone hits, the long arm is down.
Yeah, and there you see the damage that Shock does. Not very good, you know, towards the end of the game, because it does do split damage when you have multiple targets, and every part of Final Kefka, aside from the last part, is multiple target. Now, Outlaw.Star has to be careful here. He does have fire magic, which is one of the weaknesses of the head. But if he kills that short arm before he kills the head, then he might be susceptible to a death counter of Quake. So he has to be very careful of that, with Locke using the offering, not doing targeted damage here. And wow, there it is.
Yeah, that was like less than 2 minutes, I think.
That was super fast.
Probably going to see X Zone again, I think. And we also have Siren up, so that will help with magic.
Alright, so here comes Siren, so that'll take care of magic, as you mentioned, and we're going to see if this X Zone takes care of tools.
It does.
I don't see a Life 3 on Outlaw.Star. He must not have learned it in time. So there's still that looming question of calmness protection for him, as finally Chadius gets back to his statue spot here, and this is Goddess. Using Quick to get 2 turns for the price of 1 here. Meanwhile, that Lock of Outlaw.Star just pumping out damage. About 14,000 damage a turn for him. So that's one of the reasons why you use physical attacks over magic, is because you want to break that quad 9 damage barrier. And there goes Goddess from Chad. So the power of the condensed parties paying off here. However, he is running dangerously out of time as Outlaw.Star is cruising through this second tier of Kefka here.
Yeah, Tiger is still up, it looks like.
Yeah, so magic is not going to do much. Hit doesn't really do much until the very end. But Tiger can be quite annoying, so let's see how Outlaw.Star decides to take care of him. And now Locke is doing even more damage. And that's magic dead, because the counterattack's coming out. And here comes 10 hits. So that's hit dead, so I think only Tiger is left for Outlaw.Star here on tier number 2.
I don't think I usually see Tiger being the last one to go down.
Yeah, that's what happens when you got the offering. It's sometimes difficult to control where your damage goes. And it doesn't go where you want it to go. And that's Tiger dead there with that shock. So much more respectable damage when it's only 1 target left.
Yeah, so we're currently like around 4.5 minutes or so. I didn't get an exact start time for the Kefka fight, so I'm just going off of the 125 on switches and estimating from there.
Alright, so Doom is the last hurdle for Chadius before the final boss, and out comes W-Wind here. Ooh, getting 3/4 of the party. That is not something you want to see.
Yeah, it's not one of the great ways to start this fight.
Thankfully, though, we have a couple of Cure 3 spells before Locke can use his Atma weapon, so he'll be back to close to normal HP levels. And just a couple of... Okay.
Yeah.
Just going after Girl immediately. See you later, Girl.
Yeah, she does not survive that level of damage.
Well, the good news is that means that his shock will be doing way more damage, that Quasar will also do some more damage here. Now, let's see how Outlaw.Star deals with the Meteo and the Calmness here. So that's what we have to worry about from Tier 3. Getting underneath 10,000 HP. We'll start with Meteo, so I'm assuming he'll be dropping into that Meteo phase very soon.
There it is. Another Meteo. That's not good.
No. So normally when this happens, you want to burst through and get, 10,000 damage as fast as you possibly can. And that is what Outlaw.Star was saving Ultima up for. And here comes Calmness. Clutch block from Go-Go. And his entire team is heading up to Final Kefka.
Yeah,
very nicely done.
Only one Calmness strike. Sometimes you can get two.
Meanwhile, Doom is down for Chadius, and he is basically 3 tiers behind at this point. So we'll see what happens.
At this point, it feels like it's Outlaw.Star's game to lose, and really, you just need some really terrible luck or really terrible misplay for Chadius to catch up at this point.
Yep, well, this is Final Kefka. He can do anything. He will start off with Fallen 1. We do, thankfully, have some Cure 3 to use, but he's getting real low on magic points here, and that's going to be a problem. Because remember, Locke's attack is based on his HP, so he's going to want to get his HP up to full before this first attack here.
It seems like we never found any Mega Elixirs, unfortunately.
Yeah, they were one of the options for a dead check, but there's too many Genji Gloves and Dragon Horns in this seed.
And we never found Magimaster.
I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, though.
I mean, depending on where that Magimaster is, it could be either.
Alright, so Terra is going to get her MP refilled here. And it looks like Go-Go going to throw out an Ultima. So now we got to be careful for the counter attacks. So Kefka countering with Hyperdrive. So he is underneath 30,000 HP. This Ultima might proc another counter attack, but thankfully it does not. And we're going to have to wait and see if he'll charge for Goner. But Outlaw.Star queues up the attack anyway. However, Goner is coming out now, and I think this will be the end of the fight because Kefka will not counterattack. We have at least one Ultima coming out, maybe perhaps another shock as well. And there it is, the Boom Shakalaka. That is a 1:34:43 time for Outlaw.Star. Get your GGs in chat, and also go give them your love on Twitch as well.
That Atma weapon offering Locke did a lot of work in that fight.
Doing upwards of 18,000 damage per turn when at full HP. So that was a very, very beefy Locke there. As Chadius is starting the fight.
And he had a very good tier 3 with, very quickly taking the girl down, surviving 2 Meteos and Calmness.
Yeah, very lucky on that Calmness to get blocked there. But I think even if he lost one of his, party members, he still would have been pretty good on that final Kefka. Obviously, if Locke goes down, then that final Kefka takes a lot longer because your main damage dealer is gone. But I feel with the supporting cast that he had, that it was basically he was good to go there. Meanwhile, Chadius is doing his final Kefka here. Using Atma Weapon, Fixed Dice Offering, and then Little Pogo from Mog. But Setzer just rolling big with them dice right there. Let's go.
And I
Up
do
to tier 2.
To some extent, you mentioned this a couple times, like, what may have made the difference in this particular matchup is that Outlaw.Star got a lot of levels early and was like flying through a lot of those early checks.
Yeah, it really underscores the importance of how big levels are to Worlds Collide. Outlaw.Star's level advantage at the beginning sort of tapered off towards the end as he did more free checks, and Chadius was able to catch up in levels to him. However, having that early level lead just makes it so that all of your fights go much, much faster. And we are joined by tonight's winner, Outlaw.Star. Congratulations on your first place victory. GG's.
Thank you.
Yep, go ahead.
I think this is the first race I've won.
Congratulations on getting that one under your belt. It's always nice to have a victory.
Yeah, practice paid off.
So you did practice your Poltergeist Fury flag set. What is your general strategy for these types of seeds then?
I was usually checking Cursed Shield first to see what it took to uncurse it, and if it was anything below 16, usually I would try and do that, because Ultima is Ultima.
Yep.
And also, it gives you pretty much an easy way to get past the statues at the end without having to worry about them killing you with their various elements. You can just shuffle that shield around.
And it looks like, as far as your route through the seed, that you held off on any real sequence breaking until the very end. So I think was it just that you weren't really satisfied with like the rest of like terrorist checks, and so that's why you decided to do Mount Zozo at that time?
I decided to do Mount Zozo at the time because if I went up and I didn't find my progression there, I could go up to do Chair's check as well. But once I found what I needed there, I booked out and did Setzer's check in the Opera House Dragon to get my skip.
Yep, that makes sense. And with the skip requirements so low, did you feel that you were going to get skip one way or another in this seed, whether it was 8 characters or 21 checks? You actually almost got all 3.
Yeah, I figured as soon as I saw it was only 21 checks that I would probably get skip 3 checks at the very least. Mm-hmm. Because by the time you get the progression that you need, you're usually pretty close to that, especially if you picked up dragons along the way.
Was there ever going to, like, were you originally planning on hitting all 4 dragons that you would need, or was it just sort of do what you could and then realize, okay, I'm already there, I'm just going to do this and get skip?
Yeah, it was mostly just to get the skip. I wasn't really planning on getting the buff from the 4 dragons or anything. If I felt like I had been in a better place in Phoenix Cave to take on that dragon, then maybe I would have, but I only had Lock and Go-Go at the time, and I didn't feel like I could necessarily stand up to a dragon with just the 2 of them.
And from our perspective here in the comics booth, it seems like maybe what set you up really well was you got a lot of levels fairly early on.
Yeah, I usually try and do like fixed encounter checks first, but I didn't really have one because the start was really not great. Starting with Lock, Go-Go, and Umaro.
Yeah, no.
So I just decided to go do Lock's tunnel armor check and grab some levels there by the pond. And I think that really helped. And then once I remembered about the Dragoon, too, at the Coliseum, that was a bonus. And the fact that they had Atma weapons there for echo screens.
Yeah, I think that was what sort of blew it open for you, is that you stayed in the Coliseum a little bit and got a lot of those extra Atma weapons for endgame offense, and that certainly helped punch through damage, especially with your lock doing like 18,000 a turn or something ridiculous at full health, towards the end there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then even with Terra and Gogo, like, if they couldn't do anything with magic, they could just whack at it.
Were you worried about not having calmness protection on tier 3 there?
I was really worried about not having calmness protection on tier 3. I got really lucky there. But, sometimes you just don't find it. At least Setzer had the Mirage Vest, which was something, but he was probably not the person I'd be trying to save.
Yep.
How many Poltergeist Fury Seeds have you done before?
I probably ran 4 or 5, knowing that it was coming up this week.
And how does this seed, do you think, compare to those other ones you've done?
This was one of the faster seeds. Finding the Atma weapons early, I think, really helped. But yeah, I was actually surprised how fast I got through this seed, considering how long it took me to find a character, because it was literally the last check I had left, I think, except for Kefka and Narsh.
Yeah, I think based on, what we saw, that you had to go get Gao out of Kefka Narsh, and thankfully for you, you did find the dried meat to go get Terra, because even if you did sequence break and got Mog, he didn't have any characters behind him, and Setzer also didn't have any characters behind him. I know you didn't check all of his checks, but I think Terra was the real opener of the seed there, so it was good that you found the meat when you can in order to get her. Otherwise, you would have been chasing your tail a little bit towards the end of the seed there, too.
Yeah, I knew as soon as I saw Gao I wanted to get the meat, because that's always got something behind it.
A lot of really great heads-up plays that you had, throughout this seed, using Muddle on Katana Soul. There was a few other things that I had mentioned throughout the broadcast, so really good seeing your game knowledge come into play here. Any other points during the run that you want to point out that we maybe didn't talk about?
Not that I can think of. I'm trying to.
Was there anything like sort of surprised you in this seed?
No, not really. It was all pretty manageable. I got lucky. Because, like, you always end up with those seeds where you run into Doomgaze or Magimaster in the wrong place, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think, but you also did a lot to mitigate the bad stuff from happening. You put the Thunder Shield on your party when you knew, oh, this has to be Goddess here, so let me switch around the Thunder Shield, stuff like that.
When I went back to South Figaro to buy the Minerva, and as soon as I bought it, I realized no one could equip it.
And how was that one Esper that had like Merton, Ultima, and all the other fun stuff on it?
Yeah, I was looking for something useful, right? Because fire is only so good for so long, but...
Yeah, unfortunately, Terra eating the calmness there for Chadius, but he still has his Setzer with fixed dice offering, the Mog with the jumpy jumpies, so I think he'll be okay. But yeah, that was probably the best Esper teaching magic I've ever seen. Pretty crazy, pretty wild.
Yeah, I think it had Quick, too.
It had Quick, Cure 3, Fire 3, Merton, and Ultima. 5 really good spells. But anyway, so you got any other final thoughts about the seed or about the event in general?
I mean, it's a lot of fun, the event. I'm really enjoying it. It's fun to do these crazy flag sets, right? Because Ultros League is so much fun, but it's always the same thing. So it's fun to do something a little different and crazy.
And you're Team Crusader, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is like the first match for your team for this week, so it's probably really nice to get them started off with a win.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's definitely nice to set the tone for the week.
Awesome. Well, thank you for volunteering to be on stream. Can't have the races without the runners. Really appreciate you doing it. It was really great seeing your run, and hopefully we'll do this again in the future. And good luck with the rest of the event going forward.
Thank you.
And hopefully I'll see you in the bracket stage.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right.
Thanks
Catch
so
you
much.
later then. Bye
Yeah,
now.
good night.
All right, so Chadius is making up for his lack of terror with Gogo, so that was a smart fifth player off the bench sort of thing, right? Because Gogo can be sort of that utility role on the team. And it
At
looks
the
like
very
we're good.
least, you can mimic whatever someone else throws out.
Yep, so it looks like we're going to get a couple of fixed dice quick here, where Setzer is going to throw 8 times at Kefka. Hopefully these dice rolls will be able to put out plenty of damage there, so we got a couple of good ones at least. One of the fun things about fixed dice is that it can be very RNG and unpredictable, so usually we try not to have it as one of our main sources of damage, but when you have an offering, it at least negates some of the RNG from it. And here comes Hyperdrive from Kefka, so now he's in counterattack mode. Yeah, Kefka doesn't necessarily counter the person that attacks you.
We're going to get another round of that with another quick going off.
Yeah, so the thing about quick is that it allows you to take 2 turns, but it also doesn't allow the enemy to counter after the first set of turns, right? So that's why you only saw the hyperdrive at the end and not in the middle here. Whereas with that gem box we were talking about earlier, if you do X magic, you could actually get countered in between your 2 magic casts. So it's a slight difference, and that's why quick is one of the better spells. Unfortunately, those dice rolls were pretty pathetic.
And quick is somewhat expensive if you don't have a way to mitigate that, though.
Yep, 103 is the casting MP that you need to do quick. Let's see if Setzer can run the table here, literally and figuratively, with some better rolls. There we go. That's what we're talking about.
That's what you want.
All right, so let's see if the second set... Oh, he doesn't even need the second set of dice.
Yeah, 9 is going to answer a lot of problems.
Yeah. That is a 148.30 from Chadius, so get your GG's chat there. So that'll be a little bit less than 15-minute difference. It'll be 14 and change. In this tournament, we are giving our tiebreaker to those who have the smallest distance between them, or the best time differential. That's what it's called.
I think it's also...
Those are words.
If we're in this particular seed, like, Chadius, I don't think went for skip, right?
That is correct.
So in addition to like Outlaw.Star's early levels, that deciding to not go for the fairly quick skip probably set Chadius back a bit more than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it a little bit more now, and I don't think it's as bad, because that Mobilus fight probably would have cost him between 2 and 3 minutes, and then walking through the tower is like 3 to 4 minutes, so it's a net gain of really not a whole heck of a lot, I don't think, as we are joined by Chadius on mute at the moment, so hopefully he'll get himself sorted and will be able to talk to us. Sounds like he's good to go. Congratulations on finishing your seed. GG's to you, sir.
Thank you very much. That may be the worst dice rolls I've ever seen in a run.
Yeah, some of them were pretty bad, that's for sure, towards the end. But that's why you mitigate it with an offering and quick, and sometimes even then it still doesn't help.
Yep. Sometimes you just get 8 double-digit rolls, and you're just like, all right, guess it's going to be one of those seeds.
So pretty early on in the seed, it felt... I think you went for the sequence break and went up Mount Zozo and got Bog. Were you just hoping to like avoid doing like, Yeti check and Go-Go's check for that?
Yeah, there was Yeah, some of it is like, hey, you have wiry move, so there's like 2 or 3 checks that are pretty much free. Like you can always get the weapon shop in Narsh, and you can always go to Mount Zozo, um, and there's always usually a third. Yeah, usually one of your characters has a third free check. So I looked at my starting party and was like, oh, okay, that's Gogo's cave with the Zone Eater, and then those 2 free checks. May as well grab those to increase the scaling before I start grinding against something. And it helped because I could use Mog to do the Moogle defense and get my levels off of there. A little scared when Doomgaze popped up.
Yeah,
Almost
thankfully you're
died to
level
math.
12 and not 10 or 15.
Yeah.
But yeah, you did grab a lot of free checks early. Was that part of the strategy that you have in Poltergeist flag sets?
Yeah, some of this is definitely from just general team strats that we've been discussing, and some of it is that I've been playing a lot of goddess seeds, and because the offense is very difficult to find there, it just drilled into me that, hey, find a winning solution and then start grinding for levels as soon as you can.
Yeah, levels will win. You were a little bit behind in levels for a while, but then you took you took control of that with going to do checks that had some encounters in them. You didn't take on any dragons. Is that just for fear of pushing up the scaling too much too early?
Yeah, some of that was definitely pushing up the scaling. Some of that was okay, I'm trying to figure out what would I, because the espers were also pretty bad. For a while, it was like, all right, cool. Like the drag might, I got an offering already, so I don't really need to hunt dragons for that. And if I find any, I have a Genji glove, but I can't find any like good weapons to dual wield. Great. I could get an
There are a
economizer.
lot of Genji gloves in this seed, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I could find an economizer, but what am I going to do with that? I already reset out of 1 pair of Marvel shoes, and then got another in a Zozo terrace check. Like, yeah, okay, all right, guess that's how we're going with this.
Now, I can't remember. Did you check Coliseum?
I checked it early on. I didn't go back in. I did check it once to get my my Dragoon set, but after that, I didn't really do much with it.
Okay. And is it fairly standard when you do Poltergeist for you to just go for the Coliseum once you feel ready for it?
Yeah, usually I do a couple free checks. I do like 1 grind, and then by then I try to go. Especially since I had Umaro, I was like, all right, we're just gonna go as soon as we finish grinding. And
Mm.
usually with the junk I've collected, there's at least something interesting.
And you've mentioned you've done a lot of the Goddess Flex. Have you done a lot of Poltergeists?
Mostly just for this week. I
Yeah.
haven't really. Before then, I didn't really. Yeah, I hadn't done any.
Okay, I was just like curious how you felt this seed compared to other Poltergeist seeds you've done.
There wasn't a lot of offense in this seed. Usually I'm able to find like 1 or 2 good weapons early on, and then like a dead check pops up that gives me something like really useful. Um, but this time it was things weren't really lining up for me. Besides like fixed dice offering, and then that decided to just roll. It was a ones day for the dice.
Do you think you prefer doing like Goddess or Doom flag sets over Poltergeist?
Um, No, I like Poltergeist. I get to Y remove with impunity and shine off that and wipe the crud off of that paladin shield.
Yeah, blowing away NPCs is one of my favorite things to do. But yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in this seed. A lot of different ways to go forward with the offense there between the Dragoon set. Unfortunately, I don't know if you found the Atma weapons in the Coliseum.
Nope.
But even then, you still have to wait to get to the right level, and you certainly took a little bit to get your levels underneath you this seed, unfortunately.
Yeah. The grind was easy, but they didn't offer a lot of experience.
Yeah, that those mobs, unfortunately, I mean, they didn't pose you any threat, which maybe was okay, but yeah, that's the breaks there.
Yeah.
Were you thinking about doing skip at all with how low the requirements were for this particular seed?
So I did peak in World of Ruin Mobliz,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that that Shadow's babysitting the kids. Insert commentary here. But I was like, this team is so weak. Offense is really hard to find. If I get the skip, like I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna like overload Team 3 anyway. And so yeah, I'm gonna overload Team 3, and then I have to figure out. All right, if I try to go for Shadow, Funbaba's gonna blow 2 of them away. If Setzer is blown away, I don't really know what I'm gonna do against whoever's behind Funbaba. So I was like, rather than lose the time there, I'll just lose the time running through a second time, running through Kefka's tower a second time.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. We were sort of postulating how long would it take for you to do the mobilist check versus how long does it take to walk back? And it takes about 4 minutes or so to walk back, and it takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes for that fight. So you're not saving a whole heck of a lot of time there.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I don't think we had a tracker for you. But do you know how many checks you had towards the end there?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can let's pull it up on my end. But right, yeah, I didn't really count the checks because it was 21 checks, which is I think that's the lowest that it can be.
Correct.
Which is
yeah, it's
definitely
21 to 25 depending on this.
Where was I? Progress. Oh, it's 15 checks. Nowhere close.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, 15 wasn't going to cut it. But usually, if I'm burying enough dead checks, then I just say, yeah, sure.
Yeah. You got any other questions, Joker Mage?
I think I'm all set. I think considering like the problems you've outlined with just the low power that you found in this particular seed, I still think you did pretty well.
Yeah. Well, we got 4 more weeks. I'll have to do better.
Well, thank you at least for volunteering to be on Restream. Can't have the races without the runners, so really appreciate you doing this, and hopefully watching the video back, you can learn, a thing or 3, and that's what we're here for, is for improvement and trying to get better. And there was certainly some really high level gameplay here from both of you guys. I noticed that both of you did some really, really cool things, showing off some tech and some game knowledge, which is really cool to witness for sure.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, any other final thoughts from you before we get out of here?
No, just the joy of wire remove.
Yes.
I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it for my next week.
Well, you will eventually have to do Poltergeist Fury at some point soon, because we have 6 weeks of the group stage, which means you get to play every flag set twice. So it will be back, and cherish it when you see it again.
Indeed.
All right. Thanks again, Chadius, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, Joker Mage, we got any other final thoughts to wrap this up here?
Hey, you know it's fun getting involved with this, and if any of you out there are not already involved and want to, we have a Discord, and you should really come over. You can find the link to the Discord on our website. You can roll seeds on the website, come to Discord, get some advice, get some training. Like we have a whole beginner program. We do Seeds of the Week. We do all sorts of interesting events like this. Where's archipelago multi-world games going on where we actually work together instead of in competition. So there's a lot of fun to be had here, and all you have to do if you want to get involved with all that fun is go to the website and join our Discord.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much to Knuckly Kong for being the real MVP, bringing the stream to your living rooms, laptops, phones, wherever it is that you are watching us now. And thank you, Joker Mage, for doing back-to-back work here on commentary. I only snuck in for the second half, but thanks for doing both of them.
And again, I need to just apologize to the audience and everyone for the weird Discord problems. This is not something that usually happens, but I think I had to restart Discord 3 times just because I was kept on losing the streams. It looks like it. Then when I tried to if I tried to leave the room then rejoin the room, it would just go into that RTC connecting thing that wouldn't let me back in. So I had to do full resets of those Discords. So I'm not sure what was going on.
It was Eric Andre who wouldn't let you in after all. So thank you, Joker Mage, for doing that. Knuckly Kong as well. And we've got some more races on the docket for tomorrow. Taking a look at my Restream team signups here. 8 o'clock Eastern. I think Drinks Glue and Retrofile will be laying down the gauntlet for you. It looks like there's also another one at 9:30, Narves versus Nobody War. I'm doing my race at 7:30 tomorrow, so I got to put in some practice for mine because my team has 1 win and 1 loss this week. So it's all up to me. Pressure is on to make sure that we get a W this week for
and who are
series.
You against?
I'm against Hefe. So winning is not guaranteed for me because Hefe is a really good runner. So I'm gonna have to practice a little bit before.
And which flag set are you going to be doing?
We are doing. Let's see. I don't even know. Goddess's Edict.
The ever elusive goddess, because that is still the only flags I have not seen.
Well,
it seems like whenever we do these restreams that I'm commentating on, it's either Doom or Poltergeist. So maybe sometime tomorrow I'll get to see a goddess.
Yeah. So Drinks Glue versus Retrofire will be a Goddess's Edict flag set, and then Narves versus Nobody War afterwards will be another Poltergeist Fury flag set. So you'll finally get your elusive goddess run in here. So I think that's it, though. Thank you so much for hanging out with us over the course of 2 broadcasts, and we'll see everybody when we see you. Hopefully tomorrow. Catch you later. Bye-bye now.